All right, let's talk about that email from Google Search Console. You know the one that talks about indexing errors. If you've ever gotten that and felt a little bit of stress, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we are going to decode those messages and turn that confusion into a really simple, clear action plan.
Yep, that's the one. You see the subject line pop up in your inbox and your heart kind of sinks, right? It feels like you've done something wrong or that you're in trouble, but I promise you that's almost never what's actually going on.
So the very first thing to remember is this. A Google Search Console error is not a penalty. It's not punishment. The best way to think about it is like a free, incredibly powerful health report for your website. It's Google giving you a peek behind the curtain, showing you exactly how it sees your site and pointing you right to the things that need a little attention.
Okay, so to figure out what's broken, we first need a quick look at how things are supposed to work. Getting your page to show up in Google search results is actually a pretty straightforward three-step journey.
So first up is discovering. Google has to find out your page even exists, and it usually does that through your sitemap or by following a link. Next, its little robot, Googlebot, pays a visit to the page to see what it's all about. That's called crawling. And finally, if it likes what it sees, Google analyzes all that info and decides whether to add it to its gigantic library. That last step is indexing. An error can pop up at any one of these stages.
Let's start with the easiest category of errors to fix. Seriously, these aren't usually technical glitches. They're more like simple communication mix-ups, where you're just accidentally telling Google two different things at the same time. This is a classic example of mixed signals. In your sitemap, you're saying, "Hey Google, please index this page." But then your robots.txt file is basically a big sign on the door saying, "Googlebot, stay out." To fix it, you just have to go into that robots.txt file, find the disallow rule that's blocking the URL, and get rid of it. Simple as that. And here's another one that's almost identical. You've asked Google to index a page, but the page itself has a little tag in the code that screams, "Do not index." It's a direct contradiction. So if you actually want that page in the search results, the fix is just as easy. Dive into the page's code, find that no index tag, and delete it. All right, moving on to our second category. This is where things get a bit more technical. These errors aren't just mixed signals anymore. This is when something on your site is actually broken, and it's stopping Google from doing its job properly. Okay, so when Googlebot comes knocking on your website's door, a 5xx server error means, well, nobody answered. The server just failed to respond. This has nothing to do with your content. It's a more fundamental problem where Google couldn't even get access to the page to start with. So let's quickly look at the most common ones. A 500 error is a generic, uh-oh, something's wrong on the server. A 502, a bad gateway, usually points to a communication breakdown. And a 503 means the server was just too busy or maybe down for maintenance. Knowing which one you have is a huge first step for talking to your developer or web host to get it fixed. A redirect is supposed to be a simple, helpful signpost, right? It just says, hey, the page you wanted moved, it's over here now. Well, a redirect error means that signpost is broken. It's sending Googlebot in circles or down a dead-end street. So what causes this mess? Usually it's a redirect loop, where page A points to B and B points back to A. Or the chain of redirects is just way too long and Googlebot eventually just gives up. The fix is to make sure your redirect is a single, clean hop from the old URL straight to the final working page. Now this one is a little subtle, but it's really important. A normal 404 error is good. It clearly tells Google, hey, this page is gone for good. But a soft 404 is confusing. It shows your visitors an error page, but it tells Google's server, everything's fine here, status 200 okay. This just confuses Google, making it think you have a real page that's just really low quality. The fix is to make sure your server sends the correct 404 code for pages that really don't exist. And now for our final category. And honestly, this one is the most fascinating. This is where you've probably done everything right on a technical level. Google can find your page, it can crawl your page, but it makes an editorial decision not to add it to the index. When you see this status, it's basically Google's polite way of saying, yeah, I've seen it, and I'm not that impressed. It often means Google thinks the content is a little thin, or it's too similar to something else already out there, or it's just not valuable enough to be worth indexing right now. Now this one's a bit different. Discovered means your page is basically waiting in line to be crawled, but Google hasn't gotten around to it. This could be a sign that your server is a bit slow, or, and this is a big one, that the page doesn't seem very important to Google because not many other pages on your own site are linking to it. Now, here's the thing. Even though those last two issues sound different, they often share the exact same two-part solution. First, you've got to improve the quality and uniqueness of your content. And second, you need to strengthen your internal linking to that page. Both of those things send a powerful signal to Google that, hey, this page is important and valuable.
Okay, we've gone through the problems, we get what they are, now let's talk about the solution. Let's look at the tools Google gives you right inside Search Console to diagnose and fix all this stuff.
So, you've got a specific URL that's giving you a headache. How do you zoom in on that one page and figure out exactly what Google is seeing?
You use the URL inspection tool. Honestly, think of it like your own personal microscope for your website. You just paste in a URL, and it gives you this super detailed report. It'll tell you the last time it was crawled, whether indexing is even allowed, and if there are any errors on the live version of the page right now. It is absolutely your #1 diagnostic tool. And once you've actually gone and fixed an error, you got to tell Google about it. The Request Indexing button is perfect for when you've fixed a single page. If you fixed a problem that was affecting lots of URLs, that's when you hit Validate Fix. That tells Google you think the issue is solved everywhere and asks it to go double-check your work.
So look, if there's just one thing you take away from all of this, please let it be this. Stop seeing those GSC errors as a bad grade. They are not a report card. What they really are is a roadmap, a set of free, personalized instructions from Google telling you exactly what to do to build a healthier and much more visible website.
Every single error in there is an opportunity. Your Google Search Console report is literally pointing the way to specific improvements you can make right now. So the only real question left is, where are you going to let it guide you first?